Welcome, everyone, back to The Lead Story. I'm Margot Gray.
And I'm 48 Executive Producer Mike Brown.
So on this episode and every other episode, we review movies from the past, present, and future about journalism, loosely tied to journalism, all about journalism, and then we weigh in on what they got right, what they got wrong, and some issues that we have probably come across in our careers.
Yeah, it's just a great way to tell stories from behind the scenes, the stuff that people really want to hear about. And we've gotten a lot of
positive. They really want to hear? Or
they have. We've gotten a lot of really good feedback about it, and I'm excited about the way it's going. Today's episode is episode number 6. It is Broadcast News from 1987, directed by James L. Brooks, starring Holly Hunter as Jane Craig, a high-strung network producer in Washington, D.C. Albert Brooks as Aaron Altman, a smug reporter who's close friends with Jane. William Hurt as Tom Grunick, a local news anchor just hired by the network who realizes he's in over his head. And we have a special guest with us for this episode, joining us live direct from Nashville, Tennessee. There he is, the tech guy, everyone, Jamey Tucker. Jamey, welcome to the podcast. Now, when I reached out to you, you circled this movie and said it's one of your favorites.
Yeah. It's one of my favorites. It really is. And I'm not saying that just casually. It really is. And I think it's because it came out the year I graduated college. And I first got into television, first decided that's what I wanted to do. And so it really grabbed me at the theater that first time, because I thought this is what I want to do. Yeah. And I wouldn't change anything about this movie, by the way. I wouldn't change anything. It's a great rom-com, which is what I love. But it's just a rom-com centered around what we do. It's perfect.
Yeah. So, Jamey, why don't you go into your career for just a second? You say this came out when you graduated college, and just kind of walk us through where you went to college and your career through the news path to where you are now as kind of an independent tech journalist.
Yeah, it's kind of a long story because I've been in a lot of different places, but I graduated from Carson Newman College, which is in East Tennessee. It's now Carson Newman University. Graduated there. We started a national newscast while I was a senior, so they offered me the job to anchor that national newscast. Did that for a few years, wound up in Florence, Alabama at WOWL. I think we were an NBC affiliate at the time. Just a terrible experience that I could go into later, but and then from there I moved to Anniston, Alabama at WJSU, and I anchored the news there. Loved that. That was a great station, small market. Then moved to Huntsville and worked at the CBS affiliate, H&T. Okay. And then after I left Huntsville, I went to WREG. I was the weekend anchor at the CBS affiliate in Memphis. I did that for about 7 years and then wound up here in the Nashville market at WKRN as a reporter. So it's kind of a long list on LinkedIn when I start listing where all I've been, because that's quite a few places. And then I left WKRN and started What the Tech back in 2015 full time, and I've been doing it ever since. So.
Yeah, and for those of you who don't know, What the Tech is on WAFF every day during our noon newscast. Really great stuff, and I really encourage everyone to check those out because they're really good.
So that was your
reports.
own brainchild? No one gave you that to do? You just came up with What the Tech on your own?
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. I had this idea because we were always looking for content. We never had enough reporters. And I have always been a little bit of a geek. And I thought, these tech stories, I was pitching those every day. And when I did, I thought, there's no reason this story that airs in Nashville couldn't air in Albuquerque. They're using the same social media, the same phones. And so I just I took that idea and started calling around and asking TV stations if they needed more content, if they needed cover consumer technology. And it grew to the point that when my contract ended in 2014, I put my notice in and decided in May of 2015 it's going to be what I do.
I love that.
Yeah, that's the dream right there. Just
no, to be able to go out on your own, come up with your own concept and syndicate yourself, basically.
Yeah, you kind of Substack before Substack was a Substack, basically, is what you're up to there. So let's jump into the plot of the movie real quick. And we'll get started with it. The movie starts off with the characters as kids. To kind of may not make sense at first, but it kind of gives you some insight into who these characters are. Tom is good looking. He's struggling in school. Aaron's a smug little prodigy, gets beat up after graduation, and Jane is meticulous. She's nitpicking her dad's use of certain words, and you can see the books all behind her. She's a well-read young child reaching out to pen pals all around the world. So I thought that was an interesting way to start the movie. We cut to grown-up Jane and Aaron talking on the phone, and one of the things I love about this movie is how many little moments there are that kind of remind me of what we do. Like one of the first things I say on the phone is they're watching the news and they're making fun of the Weekend Crew. Oh, the Weekend Crew. They put the wrong graphic up. What are they thinking? What are they doing over there?
Exactly. I don't know why the Weekend Crew gets beat up so badly.
We
all were there.
We've all done weekends. I'm doing weekends right now. It's hard work, and any weekend producer worth their salt will tell you just as many people are watching Sunday as are watching any other day of the week.
Yeah, I worked the weekend shift for quite a while, and in one way the weekends are great because you don't have a lot of people in there to, you know. But then in a lot of other ways, when you have to be on air, you would like some people to do some oversight on things like graphics and things like that. So that was not an uncommon thing for errors to be made on the weekend newscast. So yeah, I could relate to that.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, my weekend newscasts are perfect. Margot,
Of
you and I
course,
just did the
we
Super
just
Bowl
did
Sunday
Super
show
Bowl
last night. It was
Sunday.
flawless.
Yes, it was perfect.
Absolutely
So,
flawless.
yeah.
So Jane, she's giving a speech at a conference where she's kind of going over, the things she doesn't like that are developing in the broadcast news industry. Everyone kind of proves her point by laughing at the kicker that she's like, no, this is garbage. And everyone's like, oh, what a great story. Thanks for sharing that, Jane.
It was the conference that she was doing. She was the keynote speaker at a conference about what she hates going on, what she foresees happening in the news industry. And people proved her point on that front, walking out of her conference like, what do you know?
Yeah.
And then here goes Tom.
Yeah, Tom comes in, you got through to me, and they go out to dinner, and he kind of...
that was self-serving.
Yeah. He kind of has this little confession where he's like, I don't understand the stories that I cover. I want to do better at that. And, that kind of pings her radar a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah. Not understanding and being able to admit, listen, I don't really understand what's going on. I'm not very intelligent. I'm not very smart. I can't grasp this stuff. But, oh, by the way, your network just hired me. So I love that because, it's everything that she just talked about in that conference that nobody cared to hear. And here is this guy that she goes back to his room or back to her room with him. And she thought something else was going to happen. And then he springs this on her.
Right.
To be able to say, I don't get it, but hey, I'm your new anchor.
And that's one of the things that we have to overcome is like, we don't know everything, but we have to kind of be able to learn in a very fast way. Like, I don't know anything about, stories about taxes. Well, here's a story about taxes. You better learn quick. And each of us in this newsroom kind of has our own specialty. Like anytime there's a space story, Liz. Anytime there's like something investigative, scamming, Margot. I like to think politics, crime, you come to me. So everybody kind of has their own special niche, so we can all kind of rely on each other where you don't have to know everything, but somebody needs to know a little bit of something about everything.
I think one of the most profound things that a professor said to me in J school was that you will need to be a very wide, shallow ocean where you know a little bit. We all know a little bit about something, but we're not that deep. We can't go deep because why? We have to sum this up in a minute and 30 seconds and give you the top, headlines to make sure you got the story. And I just thought that was so funny sometimes is like we're a wide, shallow ocean. Yeah.
Jamie, obviously you're the tech guy now, but what was kind of your niche back in your beat reporting days?
I covered religion, both in Huntsville and in Memphis.
Interesting.
And that was very interesting. And I think the viewers really enjoyed that because no one else was covering religion like we did. So religion was one of the things that I covered. And then I found that here in Memphis, or here in Nashville, you just sort of focus on one area. So you get to know the people in one town or the other. And so I think all of our reporters, we sort of had, because we have connections in those towns. And so mine was Tullahoma, Tennessee, Clarksville, Tennessee. I spent a lot of time in both of those places because I was the guy that had the contacts. So
Mm-hmm.
while I might not know and understand everything about the story, I know who to call. You know
Yeah.
who you need to get in touch with. So I think now, 20 years ago when I was in this business, you did have real beats where it might be the courthouse, it might be, consumer type information, but I think now we have, because things are a lot faster now, and I think a lot of TV stations are seeing people, dedicate themselves to one area, one
Mm-hmm.
city or county more than we did back then.
I think it's beneficial to do that as well.
Yeah.
It helps you become the subject matter expert on whatever it may be. And we sort of fall into that. And you found, tech, but it helps new budding reporters go back to that same pool to drink from. And it helps you become the expert. So you're not shallow throughout
Yeah.
your career. You have expertise on one or two subjects that you can talk about.
And speaking from a producer's point of view, if for a reporter, it's one thing. Okay, your story today is about City Hall. Okay, let me go on City Hall. As a producer, you're like, okay, you've got a story about City Hall. Here's your tax story. Here's your NASA story. Here's your government story. There's 5 arrests. So you've got to know everything every day instead of just kind of. And last year here at Channel 48, we had a producer boot camp for all of our producers where we brought them into the conference room, myself and Nathan, the other EP, and we just kind of went over, okay, guys, y'all are mostly fresh out of college. Here are some things we think you learned, but let's just make sure y'all know. Here's how a bill becomes a law. Here's the court process from arrest to arraignment to trial to sentencing to appeal. Here's, the Alabama legislature broke it up into these parties, these people. Here's what you need to know. And the producers are like, well, this is eye-opening. This is all stuff we pick up along the way, but to have someone actually, give us the fire hose of information, that was helpful.
That kind of makes me
Yeah,
sad.
and I think a lot of people don't understand how our workflow is. Reporters come into the morning meeting with a few stories to pitch at 9 a.m. You hope that one of the stories that you pitch, because you know about it, you're hoping one of those stories is chosen for one of the newscasts. But often, as the case, it's not. You're handed another story. You get out of that morning meeting by around 10 a.m. You're making phone calls since you're shooting your own video. You're traveling by yourself, writing, shooting, editing. You're back at the phone trying to get some information. If you don't know anything about that story, it makes it really difficult. And then you're in the car, you can't really make phone calls because you're driving, you're going an hour out of town. You have maybe an hour to shoot a story. You've got to get back, edit that story, and get it on at 4 or 5. And I don't think a lot of people really appreciate just how condensed your day is. I've often said television news is the only career I can think of where you're not watching the clock because you want the day to end.
Right.
You
Yeah.
want an extra 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Give me an extra 30 minutes before I have to go home.
And that's
Because I've got to have it.
And that's something people don't understand is like once your day is over, once you're done with the 4 or 5, 6 o'clock news, the slate is wiped clean, and you're starting from zero the next day. There's no pick it up the next day.
Right.
Like if you're an accountant, you can put the numbers down and pick them up the next day. Nope, we start over from zero tomorrow every day. And that's one of the things I love about the business, but it's also stressful. It's so stressful. And Jamey, you were just talking a second ago about getting its story edited. So the next big moment in the movie is we see Jane in the edit bay. She's pressuring the editor, Bobby. I love that.
Yeah, I know, I
Bobby. They want to get the soundbite right. She's like, ooh, I just thought of this great picture that we can kind of meld into. So Aaron has to revoice the story. So we see Aaron in the booth doing a revoice. Jane goes to get the picture. Joan Cusack, she's running the tape from the control room to the edit bay, and you can see Tom is there. Like this is his first day, and he's like, "Oh, this is thrilling stuff right here."
Right.
And that's every day for it. It's not tape to tape anymore, but it's pretty much the same thing. Waiting on that stuff to come in. The news. It's 4:50. Your story airs in 10 minutes. Where is it? It's coming. It's coming. It's coming every day.
Yeah. So our producers wound that tight because Jane was wound really tight.
Yeah, that's Jane. I was going to say this for later, but I think Jane is the best representation of a producer I've ever seen in a movie. Like dead on.
Yeah.
the tape-to-tape stuff gave me stress because I did a little bit of tape-to-tape editing when I was at Channel 31.
Yeah.
It's all digital now. Jamie, I imagine back in your day, a lot of tape-to-tape with the
Yeah.
the punching and the got to get it just right. Nope, rewind, do it again.
Yeah, and and when Bobby said "uh-oh," I've heard that. I've heard that in the edit booth from those early days where you're working tape to tape and you have to hit two buttons and it has to go back 3 seconds and then edit. And the fact that it happened when something went wrong, but it was not that unusual to see someone grabbing tape out of the deck and running it down the hallway. It happened
Yeah.
a lot because I think a lot of us, we're perfectionists. And if you have an idea of, oh, you know what, that picture would go great, let's retract that. We've got time. And that happened a lot back then. I remember producers and editors doing what she did and running down the hall. Didn't have to jump over any children, but had to run down the hall to get it in, put that tape in the machine. It takes it a second to get it on the air in time. And sometimes on the anchor desk, you see the floor director stretch because that tape has not made it into the deck yet.
Yeah.
It's not the same now. Is you just push it and it goes back.
As a producer, you've always got to have a plan when that happens. Okay, the story's not here yet. I have faith it will be, but if it's not, here's what I need to do.
Mm-hmm.
And again, another story from my old Way 31 days, the newsroom and the edit bays were on the second floor, and then the tape control room was on the first floor, right at the bottom of the stairway. So there were times where we would get the tape out of the edit bay, tossed across the newsroom, and we would just chuck that tape down the steps to the tape op who was waiting at the bottom of the steps to catch it, and then run into the tape room and put it in the air.
Crazy.
Yeah, it was a lot of crazy stuff happening there. So that's a really intense moment. I love that little moment. Jack Nicholson, the anchor, gives him a good job, Jane.
I
And
know.
Jane's just thrilled about that because we all crave that. We all crave that approval, especially from the anchor.
Right.
Whenever the anchor tells you did a good job, it's like, oh, I did good today.
Oh yeah.
So Jane and Aaron, they go to Central America to cover some rebels. There's a great moment where Aaron says, we may get shot at tonight. And they cut to Jane, and she just has this big grin on her face, like, yeah, we might. So there's a lot of adrenaline and news. And then they have the gun battle. Jane's alive. Aaron's alive. They're thrilled. And then we cut to Jane crying on the riverbank the next morning, that adrenaline crash after the big story. Is that something you've experienced?
It's really when a story ends and you have found different angles for days and weeks at a time, and you have wrung that rag out till there's nothing left, and that is sort of sad because we all remember those moments, though. We can all, you sum it up by, you remember I don't know, we called it the Tennessee Alabama murders, or the scam, the pyramid scheme that ended with farming. You can name those moments in your career where you can harken back to something that you took so much time and so much effort, and when it's over, it's like, I'm glad I did it, but it's sad.
Snow and ice coverage where you're in the building for days, and when it's finally over, you're like, I got to go home, and then you just crash for a day and a half.
Jamie, do you have those on like VHS tapes, like all of your fantastic reporting that you can just hang on to and look back and say, you know what, I did that. I was amazing at that point.
I saved a good bit on VHS, and a few years ago converted a lot of 3/4 of those big tapes to VHS and uploaded them to YouTube so I can go back. I never go back, but yeah, there is a sense of pride for some of the stories that you're just really proud of how everything came together, and it all ended in a nice bow around, and people commented on how much we liked that story. And so there was a lot of satisfaction. It's not the same, but if you've ever been in a stage play, at the end, at the curtain call, there's some celebration, but then there's a lot of sadness too because it's over. And I kind of feel some stories are like that, where you just put so much effort into it. Maybe it was one of those rare days you had 2 days to work on a story, and then it's over. And you're proud of how it went, but it's over. And Like Mike said, you're onto something else that may not be as much fun tomorrow.
That's a really good call. The theater kid to newsroom pipeline is a real thing for sure, for sure. We go back to the control room where Jack Nicholson's on the phone talking to her. Producers hate those little phones where the anchors can just pick it up and talk to you. I can tell you that.
What you do. Don't talk about other producers. You do.
I do. We see a bunch of people in the control room. I'm going to get to my favorite segment of the show, which is called I Know That Guy. It features Ernie, the managing editor of the DC Bureau, played by Robert Prosky. He's probably best known as the TV executive who hires Mrs. Doubtfire to create her own show at the end of the movie.
That's right.
He was also a priest in Rudy. He played Uncle Al in Gremlins. He was in the Michael Mann classic Thief with, I think that was Robert Duvall. I may be misremembering that one. But the reason I picked him is, like me, he's a Philly guy, so representing the 215. And also like me, he is a Temple University graduate. Go Owls. Go Robert Prosky. The feature of I Know That Guy today. So thank you for indulging me on that one. Next big scene is the weekend party. They're all kind of just having a nice little meeting at the guy's house. All of a sudden, there's breaking news in the Middle East, and they spring into action.
Right.
And, that happens
Tom, you're up.
all the time. It's Tom, get in the chair. She's pushing for Aaron. No, we don't want Aaron. But Aaron knows the story. No, we want Tom.
Right.
And I thought that was really interesting to see kind of how the breaking news plan develops in real time because, that's just how it goes. We drop what we're doing and there we go. We're off on it.
So I want to hear, Jamey, because you said this inspired you to go into news, or it was right on the cusp of you about to enter your career. I really want to hear your thoughts. And Mike, you're a producer. And if you talked in my ear that much, I would have ripped my earpiece out. So how do you all feel about her feeding him lines, basically feeding him lines, not just information, but feeding him lines?
Well, Jamey, you can tackle that first.
Yeah, and that's if I were to have any problem with this, it would be that one.
Yeah.
If I had any problem with this movie whatsoever, it would be that scene. Number one, I'm not going to say the guy couldn't pull it off.
Right.
I couldn't. There's no way I could. I'm not going to say this guy's a prodigy, right? And so maybe he could have pulled it off. But I don't have a problem with the producer in a case like this, a producer feeding him actual lines and not just information. I think Holly Hunter, just because her character, just the way she is, she wanted perfection. She knew that he needed not only the information, but he needed the lines. And so while that might go against everything that she believed in about journalism, what she wanted to stand up for, while it goes against everything, she was also a perfectionist, and she wanted that special report to be right, to be true, and so I don't personally have a problem with that scene. It just shows that he had a generous lack of talent when it comes to understanding what he's talking about. Could he do it? I don't know. I would have never done that. I would have been like you, Mario, and taken that IFB out of my ear and been on my own.
Or going with the person who had the knowledge. Aaron had the knowledge. He's done the work.
Yeah, that scene of
I don't. They never really explained that clearly to me, and that's what irked me in that moment.
Yeah, from a producer's point of view, I can tell you that every anchor is different. Like some want that in communication, they want that information. If you feed them a line, great. Others, like you said, they'll just pull out that earpiece and in the booth, you're like, okay, message received. I'll take my finger off the button. And it's up to the producer to learn that. For example, Trent Butler, I could have a full-on conversation with him while he was reading, and he would just keep right on going.
Yeah.
And then, you and Liz both are just kind of like, nope, you can talk to me when there's a soundbite, when there's a break, when Brad's doing weather, you can talk to me all you want, but right now I need to focus.
Yeah. Trent had that talent for sure.
Yeah, and that goes for reporters as well. We work with a lot of young reporters, and I have to get in their ear sometimes and tell, slow down, calm down. Okay, you forgot to tell me about this, that, or the other. Hit that again. And that's part of the on-screen coaching, and you have to be able to react to that because if you leave out a major part of the story and the producer's just sitting there, the producer's going to get in trouble. Why didn't you tell them about this? Why didn't you remind them to mention this? And so there is a fine line there.
And I think, Mario was talking about, why didn't they give Aaron a shot at this weekend? Because he was qualified. to do this. And I think that's a bad, you know, one of the things about broadcast news that isn't fair is the most talented, the person who understands it more than anyone else doesn't always get that shot. It's
Yep.
going to be the pretty guy or the pretty girl that people, are going to gravitate to and engage with. And I think it was that scene in a dinner party where, and I may not remember this correctly, but the young girl, and he was trying to say, remember Aaron? No, I spent a week with you in the raft. Like, no,
Hmm.
oh
Yeah.
yeah.
Right.
I don't know. Was that Rob Reiner's daughter, or is that?
I don't
I
know. I
would have
think
to check.
I think it might have been.
She was. I think it was. I think she is. But I think that Aaron was forgettable.
Yeah.
No one really. No one really. He didn't grab anyone.
Right.
And so, yeah, fair or not, in television, maybe more than any other journalistic career, that's what matters. Is the pretty girl, the pretty guy, the handsome guy. Put them
And
out there.
Jane
We'll
as a
figure it
producer,
out.
yeah, Jane as a producer, she's fighting for Aaron to the head of the network news division. Like, who do you think you're talking to? And they have this great scene, my favorite line in the whole movie, where he pulls her outside and he's like, "It must be nice to be the smartest person in the room." And she looks at him and goes and just mouths the word, "No, it's awful." That was the best line in the movie. That right there is what got Holly Hunter her Academy Award nomination. Quick sidebar on Holly Hunter, by the way. This movie was written for Deborah Winger. Would have been a very different movie with her, but she got pregnant before the shooting, so they had to do an emergency recast.
Interesting.
And Holly Hunter was kind of like a nobody at this point. She had Raising Arizona, which hadn't come out yet, and then when that came out, she just became like, oh, here's a great one. And then this came out a few months later. It's like, oh, not only is this a great actor, she can do comedy, she can do drama. She's fantastic. She's 4'11". She's amazing. And Holly Hunter says, I got hired on the spot in the audition, and we started the next day because the
wow.
time crunch was that much, and she just nailed it.
Nailed it.
Absolutely nailed it. Big shout out, Holly Hunter. She's amazing. She's an important part of my favorite movie of all time, Oh Brother, Where Art Thou?
Oh, yeah.
Love Holly Hunter. Love that movie. So everyone leaves the party. They go to the movies. They have the scene where Holly's in her ear. Tom gets his first big adrenaline, and then we see Jane crash out. She's crying in the office again. So again, that the high and low of the news. And
No, I think that was a crash out because she's falling in love
That
with
too.
someone she's not
too.
wanting to.
that too. It's a very intimate moment there where he's like in her face like that was amazing, and she's like, yeah, that's what we do.
Better than sex.
Yeah, exactly. You can see that. You can see it for sure. One of the things I also liked in the scene is as the breaking news is over, everyone's handshaking, back patting, and breaking down the two guys with the keyboard with a jingle. Did you remember that?
Who are you guys again?
Yeah.
What are you here for?
Yeah. Oh, I got chills.
Big finish.
Yeah. We don't have a jingle, but we used to. Do you remember the Heart of the Valley jingle?
No.
Yeah.
I'm sure there was a whole
Yeah.
crew of folks that just sat on a keyboard day in and day out trying to figure out jingles
Yeah.
from the past. But
Like I said, I grew up
who
in
made
Philly.
that one? Do you know who made that one?
I don't know. And the number one station in Philly has a whole song with lyrics and everything that they begin the newscast with. And as a producer, I'm like, I cannot imagine giving away 30 seconds to a jingle at the beginning and end of my show. It's been a while since I've seen it. I don't know if they still do it, but they're still doing it as of a few years ago.
Really?
Yeah, very strange. And one
Do you
more.
have a jingle for? It's not. There's no jingle for What's the Tech.
That's a good question.
No, actually, I don't. Maybe I should. Maybe I made a jingle. Big finish. They so big finish.
Yeah. One more thing about that. When I was at 31, we had a promo where it was this has been 2010, 2012, somewhere in there, because it was Guy Hornbuckle, Melissa Riopka, Brad Huffines, and Ronnie Duncan, and they were in this seedy bar shooting pool, and it's like first news, the 31 station, and it was the corniest thing I
So
ever saw in my life.
Yes.
And it aired. It aired for literally 2 days before someone somewhere was like, no,
Stop it,
get rid of
please.
that.
Yeah.
And I wish there was video evidence of this. I may have to reach out to Brad
Who
and
even approved that?
confirm that. It is a whole thing. I don't know. But
How many things in our careers have, aired for a day or 2 days, and then someone decided that's a bad idea? and there's no evidence of it. I can think of like 5 things.
Those things don't
Today
exist,
it winds up on YouTube.
Yeah. What are you talking about, Jamie?
I
Those things don't exist. Every decision is perfect.
right,
Speaking of things that wind up on YouTube, hello, are we just going to avoid?
Well, Jamie, you are somewhat a viral star. We don't have the rights to the video, but everyone will know what we're talking about.
How do we not have the rights to the video
Because
when it was found in our attic?
Because it wasn't in our attic. It's a Channel 19 video.
No, it was found in our attic.
Yes.
This is the first I'm hearing of this.
Yes.
Jamie, maybe you know more.
True
Okay,
story.
tell me.
Green.
is correct.
Thank you, Damien Green.
I just assumed it was Channel 19's
No,
video.
sir.
Oh, I didn't know
that. It was over
that.
here, and the big mystery. And now that I have you, how the heck did that video make it over here in our attic?
Yeah. So I do know that. So what's interesting is when that morning happens, we come back and we put the tape in, and of course, we may have 15 people gathered around the monitor watching it, and that was it. We watch it, we laugh, we put it up. Well, there was an employee, and I'm not going to mention names, although I don't think it's a big deal. But anyway, he left Channel 19 to go to Channel 48. And as he was doing that, he was emptying out his desk, and somehow that videotape, that 3/4 inch tape, was in his desk.
Yeah.
So he took it over to Channel 48, and he called me, and he said, "Do you mind if I put this up on YouTube?" And I was like, "Oh, God, I forgot all about that. Sure, go ahead. I don't care." I wish I told him, send it to me.
Right.
And I'll put it on my YouTube channel. But that's how it wound up at 48.
Interesting.
He brought it from 19 to 48.
Okay, so
cleaning out the desk and that.
So I still believe that would be the intellectual property of the other station.
It doesn't. Well, sure, fine. We can go with
well,
that.
sure, fine. I don't want to get sued.
But the point is that was right at the emergence of YouTube fame, YouTube craze of just coming up and like people splicing it together and making songs out of it. So you were right on the cusp of that.
Yeah, and I remember a few years ago, someone asked you, like, did you ever find that guy? And you're like, no, he just disappeared into the ether. And all these years later, millions of times that video's been viewed. No one's come forward to say, yeah, that's Uncle Ray.
Right.
I know. That's crazy. And I've had people, I did an AMA on Reddit about that video maybe last summer. And there were about, I think, 140 people from Huntsville that tuned in for that AMA, and they were asking about this. And there were a couple of people who said, "Oh, I know someone who knows someone who said that was their uncle. And this is his name." And I don't believe anyone actually knows the truth. But when we drove back to the station right there in downtown and looked over, he was still strutting on the sidewalk. Not knowing that anyone, he wasn't doing it for us. He was just strutting.
Yeah.
As we pulled into the parking lot.
In my heart, I like to believe that he made it to Guntersville.
Oh yeah, 100%. The man was determined.
Let's go with that. Let's go with that.
We had Elizabeth Gentle on the episode a couple of weeks ago. We never asked her about Antoine Dodson, which I think she's probably grateful for because
she's thankful. She's
over
done
that.
about it. Yeah.
But yeah,
she didn't like that, huh?
No, she's not a fan. But
No.
I just remember, again, I was working at 31 when that aired. I was so happy because we had a really good story that day, and I look up and I see that, I'm like, oh, our story doesn't matter. This is all anyone's going to talk about.
Right.
He's climbing in your windows. He's snatching your people up, trying to rape them. So y'all need to hide your kids, hide your wife, and hide your husband because they raping everybody out here. We got your T-shirt. You done left fingerprints and all. You are so dumb. You are really dumb, for real.
Yeah, the dangers of going viral there. So Jane, moving forward, for plot purposes, Jane is in a meeting that she ordinarily would never have been in where they talk about budget cuts, but she has to be there so that she knows about the budget cuts for the plot. Moving on, Tom turns a dramatic story about sexual assault, and everyone's into it. Everyone thinks he does this fantastic job.
Right.
Aaron gets jealous, and he's making comments about it, and everyone just kind of turns and gives Aaron the evil eye. And you're like, shut up, Aaron. This is a good story. What's wrong with you? And so Aaron finds out that cuts are coming, and he's like, okay, everyone in the newsroom's mad at me for this. Cuts are coming. I need to raise my profile. Let me get on that weekend anchor desk.
Right.
And they put him on the weekend anchor desk, and Aaron, to his credit, Tom, to his credit, jumps in and gives Tom genuinely helpful tips.
Right.
So what do you think? What would you think about his advice?
I thought they were spot on. The key of sitting on your jacket or punching words. We do all of that, and it was only kind for him to share some expertise when he has been sharing and helping him, even on the Libya story.
Yeah.
That he may or may not have known about, but like it was only right to do that. I mean, we're all on the same team at the end of the day.
Yeah. What did you think about the bit about not moving your eyes with the prompter? Is that something
Yes.
that's a real deal? You just
That's
kind
a
of have to
real
zone out and wear like a
Yeah.
magic eye it?
That's a real deal. He said, "Don't talk at me. You're narrating this, so you can't be looking like
Yeah.
you're reading, and it's difficult to do that." I'm sure people know by now, with 100 of behind the scene videos to refer to, that we're not memorizing an hour's worth of content. It's impossible to do so, but it's for you to deliver it as naturally as possible.
Picking which words to punch and all that.
It is a show, and you're talking about that line from drama, theater kids, to being a news anchor, and it's all in delivery in a show.
Yeah. And as producers, it's our job to make sure that those scripts are tight, one thought per sentence, short sentences.
See, Aaron wrote the copy. He wrote the hell out of that copy.
Yeah, that was part of the problem, is he made it too flowery.
And couldn't deliver it because he's so nervous. But I had to laugh at that moment because that was my first go at being the solo on the weekends. And was that with you? No, that was not with you. That was 3 years on the weekend desk that I spent. And those first 2 years, I'd say, I sweat through blazers out of nerves. And it's just, I saw myself in Aaron at that point.
Yeah. Jamey, what's your worst on-camera moment? Did you ever have a big flop sweat attack or camera fall over? What's your horror?
You know, God, it's such a horrible feeling to get lost while you're doing the news, and just, maybe it's because of a distraction in the newsroom, maybe it's your producer giving you directions, but then all of a sudden you just lost your place. And it's just and it's even worse when you're out in the field and you're doing a live shot. That's, for me, when I had really bad experiences that I'm thankful are not on YouTube. It's some live shots where, for whatever reason,
You just
I
lost
became
your train of
distracted.
thought. Yeah.
There was once in Memphis, I was out live, and it was a story about some people being arrested for counterfeiting. And so I'm standing there on the street. I hadn't had the story for long, and I'm trying to go over some of the things that they had been charged with. And I had them. This was before everybody was reading scripts off of a smartphone, and we actually had notes. And I just drew a total blank. And I don't know that I had it written down, because I remember saying they were charged with counterfeiting, passing stolen merchandise, and
What is it?
what was the other one? What was the other one? Here it is. And that's the one that comes to mind.
And you don't forget them. I remember every one of my flops. I remember all of them.
Yeah.
It's sad and pitiful.
Glad I would not have room in my head for anything else if I remembered all
for
of
sure.
mine.
And the producers obviously were not on air, but we have those moments where you're scrambling to write a whole lot of words in a very short amount of time, and sometimes you don't notice that you put an I where an O should be, and all of a sudden, shot becomes something else, and you see it come up on prompter, and you're like, oh God, please no to make
Don't
that
say
edit
it.
on the fly.
Don't say it.
So yeah,
My
there's been times
first
like that.
job, I remember my first job, I was anchoring, and the words Renaissance came up in the teleprompter, and I guess I'd never seen it spelled. And so when it came up, I said Renaissance. And I remember the guy running our teleprompter stuck his head out, and he said, "Are you telling me you've never pronounced that word before?" And here it is. That was 35 years ago, and I'm
See, you do
still
remember it. Yep.
carrying that
I'm
around.
kicking
I'm still
myself.
carrying that around.
So
Yeah.
you want
When
to
I
know my
was,
word?
When I was in radio, I called mobile for a week before
See,
someone corrected me.
That's an easy one.
And I also said I was filling in on a sports talk show, and I kept talking about Louisiana State, and there's like, nobody calls it that. It's LSU. Stop saying Louisiana State. I'm like, I've lived in the South for 3 weeks. Give me a break.
Mine was posthumously.
Posthumously.
And it
I
came out
think I remember that.
Posthumous.
I think I remember that. Yeah. I think I was in the booth for that one.
I'm like, why would you even give me that word? Who does
I don't
that?
know. Again, short sentences, short words, write it like a third grader can read it. That's what we tell these producers, just to make it easy for everyone. So Jane goes to see Aaron. She has that big moment at the correspondence ball where her and Tom finally connect and they kiss. She's standing at the top of the thing in the dress, and he's like, "Oh my God, he's impressed. They're falling in love with each other." But the first thing she does is go to see Aaron to see how the anchoring went.
Yes.
She finds out it was a disaster. She says, well, on top of that, I'm falling in love with Tom, and Aaron goes nuclear.
Right.
It's like, oh, Aaron's not the, good, if you thought Aaron was a good guy still at this point for some reason, here's proof he's really, not, maybe not.
He's just a man in love.
He's just a man in love, and he takes it really badly. And Albert Brooks just, again, doing fantastic work here. I want to talk about Albert Brooks for just a moment because he's got a really interesting story. His real name is Albert Einstein. Did you know that?
No.
Yeah, his birth name, Albert Brooks is a stage name. His brother is Bob Einstein, who you probably don't know. Did you ever watch Curb Your Enthusiasm?
Yes.
Okay, I forget his name, but he's a fixture on that. Do you know who
Super Dave Osborne.
Do you know who Super Dave Osborne is?
No.
Okay, Super Dave Osborne was a comic character in like the 80s and 90s who's like the world's greatest stuntman, and every stunt would go horribly wrong, and Dave would go horribly hurt, and it was a really funny bit. Anyway, he's brothers with Albert Brooks, and I always thought that was really interesting. And even more interesting is Albert Brooks' best friend in high school, Rob Reiner. So the Rob Reiner, who's of course recently died, and Rob Reiner and Albert Brooks, they would hang out with each other all the time, and he would be at Rob's house and hanging out with Carl Reiner, Rob's dad, legendary comedian. Mel Brooks and Carl Reiner, the two pillars of comedy. So Carl Reiner is on the Johnny Carson show, and Johnny Carson asked him, who's your favorite comedian? And he goes, Mel Brooks is really funny. And my son's friend Al is the funniest guy I know, talking about Albert Brooks. And somehow Carson remembered that, and that gets the relationship between Carson and Albert Brooks going, and that's what launches Albert Brooks' career and ends him up in this movie. So I just always think his story is fascinating.
Yeah, that
way.
is.
Kind of a little bit of a friend of a Nepo baby situation, but it worked out.
And he's kind of like his character in real life, because I don't think Albert Brooks ever got the recognition that he deserves to be amongst some of the greatest comedians of all time. I think he is one of those guys that's kind of just forgotten about, much like Aaron, just not really getting there, but being super talented.
Yeah, and
so I think it was an excellent casting to bring Albert Brooks into that role.
To tie that in of people who just didn't get the shot they truly deserved, going into the mass layoffs also sort of broke my heart, and I thought that was a really good depiction of what we've all encountered. We all know a story like that or have been a part of it.
Yep.
And just how many talented people, truly talented people, have left this industry, and if they would have stayed on, what contributions they could have made and what they could have become. But mass layoffs are just a nature of this industry
the fact
that
of
is
life,
just awful.
Jack Nicholson comes down from New York to DC, to show solidarity, and the network guy's like, take a pay cut to save some of these people, and he just kind of goes, nope. Doesn't that look like? Why? I'm not even going to dignify that with an answer. But going back to what you said about Albert Brooks, I think. I don't know if he didn't get a shot. I think he's kind of did it his way. Like, he took that fame from being a stand-up, and he started making movies on his own, started making other projects on his own. He just kind of beat his own path. And for those of you who are watching who are under 40, it's probably best know him as Nemo's dad, right? Of course.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the big day comes, the cuts come, Robert Prosky is fired, Jane takes his job, Aaron quits before he can be fired, which is kind of an interesting move, because I think they said they were going to keep him. I think that might have been mentioned. I don't remember.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it was a little, unclear.
Yeah. Tom gets promoted to the London desk. He doesn't realize that's a promotion. He's like, they're grooming you to be the guy, dummy.
Yeah. Clueless.
So, this is where the big key to turn to the movie comes, where Tom asks Jane to come on vacation with him. She says, I've got 14 weeks of unused vacation, which is, we don't all take Brad Travis time off here. So I think I've got like 3 weeks right now built up that I can just take a month off and see y'all.
But we'll never do it.
We'll never use it.
Right.
We'll never use it. It's just a part of the deal.
But Aaron decides to throw that bomb.
Yeah, throw the bomb about,
Yes.
he had did he have 2 cameras? No, he didn't. So how did he get the tier? And Tom's like, well, no big deal. I was crying off camera. They just put a camera on it, and I cried again. And Jane's like, no, 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 no.
Absolutely not.
Yeah, I was going to say, what's your take on that?
We're not staging news around here. If you didn't get it, there are many times that I have cried off camera, and I would never want a camera to show that. Like, no, you do not stage news.
Yeah.
That is a cardinal sin.
And that's set up really well earlier in the movie where they're down in South America, and the
Yes.
guy's messing with his boots. Like, just do what you're going to do. We don't stage news. And he kind of goes, well, now I don't know what to do.
I know.
It's
I'm
a
still going to put on my
really
boot.
funny moment. Yeah, but Jamey, obviously, ethics and news a huge thing, and yeah, I assume you're on Team Jane here.
Oh, absolutely, 100%. Never stage anything. Never even give the impression that something might be staged. When I was in Memphis, I remember we were covering one of the churches had a new steeple going up. It was going to be the tallest point in Guntersville County, Mississippi. I was the religion reporter, so they sent me out there, and they had a bucket truck, and they were going to allow us to get the spear or whatever, the spire placed upon. And so I wanted to go up, but the newspaper guy from the Commercial Appeal beat me to it. He said, no, I'm going up. So I was like, all right, well. So he goes up, comes down, and gets his shots. And then I asked the guy, I said, can I go? He said, sure. And the Commercial Appeal photographer, we don't stage the news. And I said, okay. Well, we went up and they took it off and put it back on.
Uh-huh.
We came down and I said, so which one is the real one? Is it the first time or is it the last time that spire goes on? And they didn't use it, but we did. And I don't know if that was unethical or maybe it was. And if you don't tell a guy putting on his combat boots, maybe that was, but no, that's a story that I remember. They wouldn't use it when we did. I don't know. What do you think? Did we do the wrong thing?
Would they have taken the spire off otherwise, I guess is the
Right.
No,
question.
they wouldn't have.
Then, yeah, probably.
Yeah.
Then we staged it.
Yeah. That's the producer brain
All
in
right,
me right
that's the
there.
only time that's the only time that ever happens. So I'm guilty of that, but
We had a
we were very conscious of that. You just don't do that.
we had a situation at Channel 31 where a photographer was sent down to the Madison County Courthouse because the software or something at the driver's license office had crashed. This was back when the DMV was in the courthouse, and the line was out the door, through all around the courthouse. So go down there, get line, talk to people. So the photographer goes down, he comes back with video, and we're looking at it, and we're like, no, you went to the wrong place. This is a line for the probate court or whatever, because we've all been in the courthouse. The line you were wanted is over there. Oh, well, they fixed that. The software is fixed. There wasn't any line anymore. Okay, well, this is not the line we told you to get.
Right.
And he said, I'll never forget this, quote, a line is a line.
No.
No. He got written up for that. He got
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. Even something that small. A line is a line. No, it is not.
Yeah.
We can't misrepresent those things. So Jane, they have that big moment at the airport where she kind of lays it out like, no, this is unethical. And he's like, what's the big deal? I was crying anyway. And she gets in this, she's just like, no, I can't do this.
You're not the guy for me.
You're not the guy for me. And she gets in a cab and
She should have followed her gut. Like, I think that harkens back to the beginning of the movie where she's like, I'm not here to teach remedial reporting.
Yeah.
And your foundation, all of what her foundation in journalism meant to her went out the door when she fell in love, but she was reminded in that moment.
But the brilliance of the story is he recognizes his shortcomings and he's trying to overcome them, but he's doing it in the wrong place. Like, you have succeeded too far to be learning this, basic stuff.
Right.
I appreciate that you're earnest and that you recognize you have a problem and that you're trying to get better, but this is not the place to do it. We cannot do it here.
So this is the funny part, and you talked about, and Jamey said, wow, when you said it, and I said it internally, wow, that you taught that producer boot camp and had to remind them of the basics, and it goes back to this industry and how it's changed so much that we are giving reporters a shot in a market that I needed experience for before I even stepped through the door. Jamey, I'm sure it's the same situation for you.
Oh, yeah.
It's just like we're not here to teach you remedial reporting.
Yeah.
You need to know this. And then you see in that scene, Aaron is testing him. Do you know all the names of the cabinet? Like, if you
Yes, I
don't,
know. How many?
and
12. There's 10. Yeah.
we go through this all the time where I'm like, do you know who this person is? And if you don't, I'm laughing at you, because what kind of reporter are you if you don't know this person? And it's just, I don't know.
You know, we used to. I had to work at 2 different markets before I could get a job in Huntsville.
Right.
And it's not that way anymore. You can get out of college and work in Nashville, for crying out loud. Top 25 market. And so the value of that was to learn your way, make your mistakes in, Florence, Alabama, and Anniston, Alabama. Make your mistakes there. In these small markets, and then by the time you get to a market like Huntsville or Knoxville or Chattanooga, you're prepared. You've already learned the ropes. You're not going to learn this kind of thing in, journalism school and college. You're not going to learn the lay of the land. You might learn some things, but you're not going to learn enough to pick up that microphone and grab a photographer and go out and tell a story. You're going to make mistakes. Make those mistakes in the small markets, and that's just not possible anymore because you're skipping those small markets.
And you've laid off all of the people with the institutional
That's what it is. Those
knowledge. Yeah.
markets like Anniston, those tiny markets in South Dakota, they've only got 2 reporters. So once they've got those people hired, sorry, we're full.
Right.
And the spillover moves up. And, some people go to college, they get that degree, and they just can't crack it because there's no jobs available. And they're like, okay, well, it's good for us because, we get the best of the best.
Right.
But at the same time, we'd probably still rather have someone with a year or 2 under their belts.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, moving on towards the end of the movie here. So Jane's in the cab, she leaves. I don't know if y'all saw the alternate ending that they shot. They did shoot an ending where Tom follows her into the cab and they have kind of a big blow up and they kiss and everything's good. I think they made the right call ending it the way they did, because if you watch that alternate ending, it's just awkward and it's not fulfilling.
It didn't give you what a rom-com is known to give you, and I think that's the beauty of the movie in itself, that it didn't end on that flowery ending that they all walk off into the sunset.
Yeah, and the whole time you're wondering, is she going to end up with Tom? Is she going to end up with Aaron? And at the end, they flash forward 7 years later, she's with neither of them, which is pretty much what Aaron predicted. We'll all meet up, we'll be friends,
That's
but none of us will be
exactly what
together.
he
It's
said.
exactly what he predicted, and I think that the movie gets it exactly right that way.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
I agree. It's so unusual for a movie about a love triangle for no one to get the girl. Somebody always gets a girl in a rom-com love triangle. And that's what I love about this movie, is because it ended more like real life than we might see in a screenplay that we've seen a million times. No one deserved the girl. No one deserved it.
Exactly.
And that's
Maybe Aaron could have said, maybe Aaron, but James Brooks just couldn't bring it. He never liked the alternate ending. I think he just shot it because other people wanted him to have an alternate. He hated it. I did too. I hated that alternate ending.
There's a story I heard that it was supposed to be, they shot it with Holly Hunter in the cab, and she didn't know that Tom was going to come in, that William Hurt was going to come in, and they wanted a genuine reaction, but she saw him in makeup or something like that, so it was kind of ruined. That spontaneous moment was ruined, and that you can really kind of tell watching, like, oh, okay, this is they're treading
Forcing
water,
it.
trying to make something happen here, and it's just not going. So that's
this also goes back to just interpersonal relationships in the newsroom that I am so against.
You mentioned that in the last episode.
It's horrible. I don't know why people, I know we're around each other more than we are our own families, but like, come on, don't.
That's all the more reason not to.
I know, it's exactly.
I just saw you all day. I don't want to go home with you. Oh my God.
Crazy to me.
It's too much. But yeah, this movie is just a brilliant piece of work by James L. Brooks. It was nominated for Best Picture. All 3 of the main actors got nominations. I don't think they won any.
Good choice, Jamie.
Yeah, really good movie.
Love this one.
Yeah, James L. Brooks, in case you didn't know, hugely influential. This will be Film Nerd Corner. He wrote for Andy Griffith and My Three Sons, so he's been around that long. Created Mary Tyler Moore Show.
Wow.
Created Taxi. Created Lou Grant. Won Best Picture with Terms of Endearment. Created some stupid little cartoon called The Simpsons that is still going on 40 years later, almost 35 years later. Jamie, as an elder millennial, I speak almost entirely in Simpsons references, so huge influence on my life. And he's 85 years old and he's still making movies. He had a movie called Ella McKay that came out literally 2 months ago.
Oh, wow.
It's not good, but God bless him. He's still out there trying.
He's trying.
It's on Disney Plus if you want to see it. So, Jamey, final thoughts before we wrap her up here.
Well, it's just, this movie just is, it's top 5 for me of all time. And up against, When Harry Met Sally, To Kill a Mockingbird, those are my 2 favorites. But then you come in with Broadcast News, it's in my top 5. And, and it affected me. I still tuck my sport tails under my, I still sit on my sport coat, and I still try to look at the middle of the prompter. And
Right.
so much of this movie, I've carried with me for almost 40 years.
Wow.
Holy smokes!
Yeah.
Almost
Mhm.
40 years.
Yep.
Wow.
What a
Yeah,
career.
but just a beautiful movie. And if you haven't seen it, go get the DVD. It's worth it. Don't stream it. Find the DVD. Watch it. Watch the alternate ending. It's just a beautiful movie. And I'll watch it again. I may watch it again tonight.
Great. Margot?
I liked this movie. We've had some really good films that we have had to talk about. All of them have been, like 1940s, 1950s, and so this was that 1987 on the cusp of TV journalism that we are seeing that reflects most of what we see today.
Yeah.
And I really enjoyed it. Outside of the love triangle, just the depiction of news and what we encounter, I love
Yeah.
that part of it.
Yeah, like I said, best depiction I've seen of a producer in any movie. So, Margot, you love this movie. Next week, a movie I don't think you're going to like very much
Gosh,
because I hate this movie.
what is it?
But we have to watch it. Jamey, and you're saying old movies. This is a newer movie from 2013, I think, Nightcrawler. Are you familiar with this movie at
yes,
all?
yes.
Nightcrawler, starring Jake
I found it
Gyllenhaal.
entertaining. I found
Yeah.
it entertaining.
Entertaining.
Yeah.
Okay, I can go with entertaining.
Entertaining.
Now,
Yeah.
if you thought Ace in the Hole hated journalists, wait till you see what Nightcrawler thinks of us.
No.
We are
See, and I
we do
loved-
not look good,
See, we have
but we
been-
have to take these criticisms face on and address them.
Oh gosh. So we have been watching these ancient movies where I need closed captioning on all of it because it's just the delivery. They speak
Yeah,
a lot
facts.
faster and it's just but
Yeah.
I've gone in wanting to hate them and I end up loving them all.
I don't want to prejudice you, but Nightcrawler, I just hate that movie.
Okay, we'll see.
It's a really well done movie. It's well written. It's well acted.
Yeah.
It's such an attack on
On
journalism
us. Yes.
that
Okay.
it
All right.
hurts.
Hey, well, hey.
So we'll
I'm
talk
so
about
glad
that.
you didn't
yeah.
so glad you didn't give me that movie.
Yeah. You know who we will be talking with is Malcolm Johnson will be joining us for
Oh,
that show.
yes, that's
Malcolm
right,
is a
that's
former
right.
producer here at Channel 48. He's worked up his way up the ladder to New York City, the #1 television market in town. So we're going to get the big city perspective from Malcolm. I can't wait.
I can't wait either.
It's going to be exciting. So
Jamey,
that'll be
thank
next
you
week.
so much for your
Yeah,
perspective
thank you so much,
and your
Jamey.
time and hopping
So
on
much fun.
after all of your internet debacle over
I can't
the
wait
past.
till they build
Yeah.
a statue to you in Guntersville.
You need one.
Yeah.
It's just 38 miles away. So.
Ain't that far a walk. All right,
Just walking.
Jamey Tucker, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks to Darren Hirado, Javon Jareth, Pat Akers, all of our crew who put this show together. Make sure to follow us on Instagram, Letterboxd, and on the WAFF 48 app. And, of course, WAFF.com/theleadstory. We will see you next time with Nightcrawler. And Margot, do you want to say it?
No, I don't want to say it. We
Okay.
haven't figured out a good
Yes, we
out
have.
cue, but this is what we're sticking with.
Yes, we
Go
have.
ahead,
Ladies
Mike.
and gentlemen, here is Twiggy, the water skiing squirrel.